Oh, so something changed on my screen. Can you guys still see
Sorry.
it?
I think we forgot to start recording, so I just did that.
Oh,
Um,
okay, cool.
so if you want
That
to just
sounds
quickly
good.
summarize everything you said in like
Yeah,
2 minutes.
so far,
Sorry, guys.
this is basically the first slide. No, all good. Thanks for reminding me. I forgot to do that. So this is our slide talking about what we do. We do projects over the course of an entire semester, which we'll talk about a little later in this slideshow. We do game jams, which are like weekend-long game-making sessions, and we do a game-making deathmatch, which is a large game competition that takes place over 2 months. And I emphasize the idea that you don't need any experience to join GDDC. Very beginner friendly. And we'll do tutorials and we'll talk and we'll hang out and we'll have other events that might help you learn a bit more about what making games is about and hone your skills a bit. And also we just hang out. Like a lot of our meetings last year, we just hung out and talked about games, talked about what interests us, and talked about game design, game art, game anything. So if you're interested in games but not necessarily interested in making them, this is still a great place to hang out and talk about some of your favorite games and that stuff. So this is sort of an overview of our semester-long game-making projects. So this is how it works. If you think you have an idea for a game that you want to make with some others in the club, you can become a team lead for that project, and you can pitch your idea of what kind of game you want to make to the rest of the club at our pitch fair, which is probably going to be next week. It is going to be next week. That's our next week's meeting is our pitch fair. And so you can, and you don't need any product at this point. You just have an idea you want to make. Club members that see your project will think, oh, hey, that seems kind of interesting. Like, I'd love to be involved in that. And then they will talk to you and you will sort of get a group together of people who want to work on your game, programmers, artists, musicians, people who just want to help, people who are just interested in talking about design, any sort of facet of participation in these projects is welcome. And so people will choose the teams they want to join, and then you'll get started. Every week, we do a show and tell at the start of our meeting where all the projects get to go through what they've done. If anything, a lot of times, like, there's no pressure to get a lot of stuff done. It's obviously optional, but it's a great way to keep on track with your game. Is every week you're gonna ideally have something to show, something to talk about, or something like that. And so halfway through the semester, teams will show a small demo of how their game is working so far. This is a chance to get, of course, the show and tells are also a chance to get feedback, but the halfway through the semester demo is a great chance to get feedback from people who are more experienced with making games. They can sort of let you know where you need to focus your efforts on, like, what works and what doesn't. And at the end of the semester, we'll release them online. You can upload them to your GitHub, and we'll figure that out then. And then we can try each other's games out and, like, see what worked and what didn't, and learn from it. And I want to stress that this is not a competition. This process, this semester-long process, this is definitely just like, it's for trying ideas out. It's for honing your skills, and it's for meeting new people, honestly. So yeah, it's definitely, like, not competitive at all. And also, if you want to work on a project, there's no use usually, unless your team decides that they want you to work on something weekly and, like, stay committed to the team. There's no pressure from our side to finish your project or to stay committed. We understand school gets really hard sometimes and people need breaks. Like, it's totally a very easy process, and it's not very stressful. So I definitely recommend looking into, if you have an idea for a game, think about it and get a pitch ready and pitch it next week. It's not a lot of work. I did one my first semester. You don't need any experience in games to share your idea and get it implemented with some others. It's a cool process, and it's a really great way to learn the entire process of making sort of a larger scale game. The size of the teams. So teams are usually, the one I was in last year was about 4 to 5 people. I think it was five people. But some of the teams last year were much larger. Some of them were 10 to 15 kind of range. And it would just be a lot of people contributing to this thing, and none of the members needed to do any sort of really, really intense participation because, you know, many hands like make light work kind of thing. And that's not to imply that making games over in this project style is a lot of work, because it's, you know, if you want to do it, you can do maybe an hour or two a week. If you're more passionate, you can do more. It's up to you. Set your own schedule. So yeah, it just depends on your idea. And if you have an idea for a game that you want to make, I would encourage you not to exclude people. But if you don't want to have a very, very large team and you just want to work with a few people it's a lot easier to manage who's doing what, then you can make that happen as well. Is there any questions about this pitch fair and the idea of like our semester-long game projects? No questions? Cool. Let's move on. Oh, you have one? What's your question? Oh, where do you sign up for it? Okay, so we're going to be putting a form in the general chat. Actually, it'll probably be in a different chat, maybe announcements, maybe resources, but I'll let you know where it is after this meeting. It's going to be on the Discord. It's a Google form. You can go there and you'll fill out like a Google thing that says like the name of your game and like your name and like all this kind of stuff, and that'll tell you more information about how to get started pitching, if that's what you want. Can we drop in a meeting/jams without being part of the dev process? Oh, Val,
yes.
Did you want to say something?
Sorry. The pitch, the team leaders, what we're going to have you do is make it like a short PowerPoint, like just a few PowerPoint slides, just to like list what your idea is, what kind of people, like what roles you're looking to fill, like if you need artists or programmers in particular. Yeah. And we'll have you submit that before the meeting next week, and you can present if you want to. And talk about your idea yourself. Somebody asked, is it programming based or graphics based? If you're talking about the team lead, or like what they want to focus on, it can be either. It can be whatever you're interested in. Normally a team has like some people who want to focus on programming, some people who want to focus on graphics, and it's good to have like a mix of people with different specializations working on your project.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. Like you know, if you delegate the tasks to people that are interested in trying some new things out and learning different roles in the game development process, that definitely makes it easier. But you can also be multidisciplinary. Like if you want to program and make music and make some art, then you can do that as well. If you want a graphics program in Unity, you can do that as well. Like there's a lot of different ways you can go about doing it. Yeah, you can sort of choose your own adventure in that sense. Can we drop in on meetings/jams without being part of the team dev process? For example, if you already have an ongoing solo project, or if you don't have time, yes. This is an optional thing. You don't need to involve yourself in a project. Our jams and our other events outside of this, for example, our Q&A tomorrow, which I'll talk more about, are completely independent of the project process. Meetings are a little bit wrapped in it because part of our meeting is our show and tell section, where the team leads will get to go through what they've been doing this week and what their group has accomplished. But certainly you don't need to do that. It's just a great opportunity for learning how games are made and going through the whole process with some others.
And you can participate in the show and tell even if you're working on a project that's not a part of, like you didn't pitch to begin with. Yeah. Like some people just like to work on personal projects, come to the club and show off what they've been working on and get some feedback on it. That's also a valid way of participating in the club. Yeah,
good point. Forgot to mention that. Definitely personal projects are also encouraged here. Anything related to game design or development, totally your choice. You can show it off. Can we use other engines like Unreal, or is it Unity only? That's another thing. You get entire choice of like what engine, what tools you want to use. There's no restrictions on that. We will recommend that if you're starting out, Unity would be a great place to start because it's powerful enough for no matter what kind of game you want to make. And it doesn't have a very steep learning curve, and it's a great way to get your sort of feet wet in the programming aspect of it, as well as, you know, integrating art and graphics and all that.
I think we're going to talk. Yeah, we're going to talk more about engines in a few slides, I think. But yeah. Unity is just the one that we recommend to people with little experience. You don't really have to listen to us at all. Like you don't have to do anything that we tell you to. You can just do your own thing. That's cool.
Yeah. I just also want to stress that Unity's it's not like baby's first engine. It's a very, very powerful industry standard engine that we just happen to recommend to like people who are starting out because it happens to be easy to learn, and there's a lot of great resources for it. We'll talk about this in a bit, but we're doing a Q&A tomorrow with alumni of U of T who uses uses Unity for his published his published indie games that are on all of his platforms like Steam and Nintendo Switch and stuff. So it's very powerful industry standard kind of stuff. Hearthstone is a great example. Hearthstone is Unity backend, and it's developed by Blizzard, which is one of the biggest AAA companies in the game, right? So these are things to think about as well. It's not like a baby engine. Like don't. Yeah, the render pipeline's great for 2D stuff. Totally. Great tool. It's a great tool, and it's no matter what level you're at, you can use it. So right. So this is sort of delegating the difference between the team lead and the team member. So generally, the team leads have some experience making games, but big asterisks there. You don't have to have experience making games to share your idea. Share your idea and get people involved. Game Maker isn't even a baby engine. There's a lot of massive games, and like Undertale, for example, was made in Game Maker. Game Maker just happens to be an easier way to make games than making your own engine or using Unreal or Unity.
I got started with Game Maker.
I just think that
and
big stigma there, but
Miami
it's
was
really
made
baseless.
too.
That's a big one, yeah. Massive games that people love in Game Maker. You don't need to have the best tools or be the most technologically smart or like advanced to make great games. Okay. So has some experience making games is ideally the team lead, but you don't have to. So like when I came into GDDC last year, I was team lead for a small like Python game I made using Pygame, which is a library in Python. And I didn't have any experience making games. So you really don't need it. It's just about sharing ideas and getting that sort of learning process. I would recommend that if you don't have experience making games and you need advice, reach out to someone who might be more experienced in the club. You can come ask me any questions you want about game development. I'm sure the other execs like Val, Sabina, and Ian are open to questions as well. So please reach out and we can get you started on the right path if you don't really have any experience and you want to lead a game anyway. But it's correct that the team lead pitches a small game idea and development plan. So you're probably going to have to make a schedule on your slides. It's really helpful, and it tells us when you plan to have things done. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to stick to it. Obviously, everyone's doing classes. It's hard to balance everything, but it's a great sort of skeleton of where your project should be at a certain time. It's really good to have. Team members, no experience required. Definitely stressed. Like team members, if you want, like, and it's like for both, obviously, but I guess more so for team members. And you can, but if you want to be a team member and you want to involve yourself in a project, you should be willing to learn and contribute. These are people's ideas that they're sharing, and they're trying to get they probably have an idea of how they want it to go. That doesn't mean you can't help them out with it, the team leads. And sorry, that doesn't mean the members can't help the leads out with it, but it's definitely like, you need to be willing to help others in whatever facet you want to involve yourself in. So whether that be programming, art, level design, like any aspect of that, you can help out with, and there's no experience required. That means also team leads are going to be, accepting of people who want to involve themselves in the project but might not have much experience to an extent, obviously. Okay. So team leads, you're going to make a pitch. You got to start simple, right? You need to make a game that you can finish in the semester, right? So you've got to design something that's doable, and that will depend on your skill level. So a great example of like games that you can make in one semester would be like, if you look at older arcade games, those are great examples of things you can do in shorter periods of time, games with smaller scope. You're not going to make a Skyrim. You're not going to make a Fallout. You're not going to make a Call of Duty. You're going to make something small and something easy. If you have a little more experience, then you can branch out a bit and you can try something new. But you have to consider the scope of what you can be able to do. And if you need help with scope, come talk to the execs. We can give you a nice starting point or places to go from and some scope with that. So it's better to make a simple project and extend it if you have more time than to make a really complex project and not finish it, right? So if you are worried about your design being, if you're a team lead, obviously, if you're worried about your idea being too simple, try to make it extensible. So you have stretch goals, you have things that you can work towards if you're ahead of schedule. And if it ends up being too simple, you have somewhere to go, right? There's no such thing as too simple with the game either. We'll talk about that in a second. We have a whole slide about that. But in your pitch, you're going to include a description of the gameplay, some diagrams if you want, not necessary, but definitely encouraged. Get some diagrams in there and let us know how you imagine your game working. Definitely and you can use other games for this as well. You can say, oh, this is going to work like Celeste, or this is going to work like Mario, or something like that. And a schedule, right? So what you're going to do every week, or every month, or every 2 weeks, or whenever, however often you want to meet, and how this is going to get finished by the end of the semester. So what kind of games do we make? You're not really going to make the next Breath of the Wild, right? It's a very ambitious game. This kind of stuff takes massive teams and multiple years to make. So maybe later. But that doesn't mean you can't make really interesting, really smart, really fun games with simple tools and less time. So, right, like I said, look at old arcade games. These are great examples, like Donkey Kong, right? Like Balloon Hunt. Is that this one? Balloon Hunt, I think. I'm not sure. And then Fruit Ninja, right? Like these are games that are simple and they're super fun. And it just goes to show us Balloon Fight. Thank you. It just goes to show us that like games don't have to be complex. They don't have to have amazing, graphic technology to be really fun, right? I bet you can all think of a lot of really simple games that are super fun that you've found. I definitely can. So don't be too ambitious, but that doesn't mean you can't make something super fun. Tetris is the best example because Tetris has been going for like 30 years, if not more now, and people are still playing it really regularly. 1984, so it's been what, like almost 40 years since Tetris was released, and it's still going strong. Simple games are great. Here's made by a single person. I'm not sure about that either. That would make sense. It seems like a kind of single person scope game, even for back then. But yeah, so here's some screenshots for some games that have been made in GDDC in the past. So we have employed a lot of different like creative ideas, and if you want lists of more games that you can check out that past GDDC members have made, we can get access to those. I think I'll probably post like an itch.io or something, or see if I can find some games, maybe a Google Drive, of stuff that people have made in the past for our game making death matches or game jams and our semester long projects. But see, like these are definitely games with like not super ambitious graphical scope. Well, some of them, yeah. I mean, like as in like they are focused on gameplay first and graphics later, which is a big thing you should probably think about when you're making your game. You want it to work, and then you want it to look pretty, right? Not to say you can't be an artist from the start, because there's a lot of artwork that goes into it. Anyway, so what's a game engine? Does anyone know? Game engine? Kind of a weird term. I was not familiar with it when I joined GDDC. I didn't know what this meant. Some of you have heard of Unity, which we talked about a second ago. A game engine, Unity is a game engine. What a game engine does is it handles the low-level programming stuff and the math stuff that you don't really need to worry about when you want to make a surface-level game. So a game engine, instead of saying like, let's write 10,000 levels of, or let's write like code to handle a game logic loop, and then code to handle graphics, and then code to handle like reading in files, and then like code to handle sound. Unity says, hey, I've done all that. Here's a platform you can start on. You can make a game object right here, and it can do exactly what you want it to based on how you tell it to behave, and that's programming stuff. But Unity will handle that sort of like surface stuff, and it'll hide it all from you, so you don't have to worry how it works. It just works, and it's great, and it's a really, really great tool to start off. So big companies, when they make games, like all the companies you've heard of, like Ubisoft and like Nintendo and like Microsoft, like when they make games, they don't start I don't want to generalize, but a lot of game companies will start with an existing engine. and they'll build off of that engine. So Valve, for example, the guys who make Steam, when they make their game an engine, right, which they called Source for a long time, or the newest version of it, I guess, and then they would build their games based off of that. And so it really cuts all of the time, the game development time, in half. Like you really just don't need to worry about so much of it when you start a game engine, and it doesn't limit any of your creative freedoms, or for the most part, which is really great. So Unity is one such engine. Unity, Unreal, and others like Godot are all completely free. It's a great point. And they're really great places to start. This is the great thing about living in the 2010s, well, 2020s, I guess now, is that there's so many great tools for this kind of stuff. So we recommend Unity. Unity is free to download. They've got a community edition that anyone can go to their website and you get the access to the full version of the software. There's no like premium version. And we're going to be holding a workshop next week. Probably, I'm thinking after the meeting, but we're going to do a poll at the end to make sure we find a time that works for everybody. That will sort of guide you through starting out in Unity and making your first simple game. So it works on all platforms, almost all platforms. I can't think of any that it doesn't work on. And it's like I said earlier, it's very powerful. Like a lot of massive games that you've heard about that you'd think would be very intensive and you'd think would be like, AAA level stuff are actually made in Unity, right? Which doesn't make, sorry, they are AAA level stuff, but it's like, Unity is very powerful and industry standard is what I mean. So games like Ori and the Blind Forest, someone mentioned Hearthstone earlier, a lot of games made in Unity, a lot of very popular and cool games. So every week, apart from that, we have standard meetings. So we're at a standard meeting right now. This is going to be the kind of stuff we do. There's not going to be slides every week. That's a special first meeting thing, but we're going to talk about what the semester-long game project people, like the team leads, have been working on. They can give us an update on their progress and what they've sort of done that week. And the rest of the meeting is sort of used to, generally chat about games. Oftentimes, we'll have a topic that we talk about, and we'll just sort of discuss that, bring up games we like about it, or the games that do it well, games that don't, and sort of talk about that kind of stuff. There's so much to talk about in games, and it's so, I find there's very few places where it's cool to talk about like games and game design because it's such a niche interest or area of interest that I think this is a great place to do that. It's really cool conversations happen. Yeah, so that's going to be that. We're going to do a poll at the end to figure out when our standard meeting times are going to be, just to make sure it works for most of the people here. Because I don't know, maybe some people are skipping lecture or something right now, which I'm not encouraging, but we'll figure it out. So special meetings. So we have our pitch fair. This slide says it's in 2 weeks. And I'm not sure when we were actually planning to do that, but it's going to be next week or in 2 weeks. We'll figure it out soon. But we'll give you enough time to think of your ideas, and we'll give you enough time to think about what you want to do and sort of make a pitch based on that. Sometimes we have guest speakers. We've got a special guest speaker for our event tomorrow night, which I'll talk about after the meeting. And sometimes we have tutorials, like next week's Unity tutorial that we're going to do. Game jams. Game jams are awesome. These are like my favorite. Game jams are the best. They're like, I think I explained it earlier, but it's like 48 hours. Everyone sits down, makes a game according to a theme. And we host a couple as a club, but there's also a bunch of other ones in Toronto that are great. There's TO Jam, there's Ludum Dare, and those usually happen sort of in the second semester, like usually after school or during exams and stuff. But we'll bring up more info about that around that time. So yeah, we're planning right now on doing 1 game jam per semester, but if there's a lot of demand, we'll think about doing more. Because they're so much fun. They're just the best. I love game jams. And usually the game jams are during reading week. Yeah. So game making death match. I talked about it earlier, but annually we hold a game making death match. Yeah, first weekend of reading week is usually when we do our game jams. But so the death match is a 2-month long game making challenge where you're given a theme at the start. make a game over the course of 2 months, usually over winter. It's going to be over winter break, and then you submit at the end, and you're eligible for prizes, and sometimes sponsored prizes. Like people come in from different places and want to sponsor our event, and it's really great experience. It's so cool, and some of the GMD games from previous years will blow your mind. Like there's some really cool stuff happening.
I think there's some background noise, Murray. I don't know if it's coming from yours.
I'm just gonna, I think someone had their mic on, but I've muted that person.
Okay.
It's all good. No hard feelings. So you can work alone or with a partner, and we'll talk more about that when the time comes, but it's a great contest. So if you're not already on the mailing list, I'll copy this link and paste it in the Discord, because it is, I'll send that after. But our mailing list is where we announce all of our meetings. Just so I know, I'm going to do a quick poll. Can I do that? Am I allowed to do that? No, I don't think I can. But yeah, so did we broadly get the email I sent out for those on the mailing list? I sent out an email 2 days ago. I just want to make sure people got it. Jerome got it. Okay, cool. Yeah, good stuff. Just wanted to check because I wasn't sure if that was actually working, but yeah, so that's where we do our communications about our meetings and our events coming up. So stay tuned to your email for that. And Discord, you're all on the Discord, I'm assuming, because you got here. So we already know about that. Does anybody have any questions or ideas or requests or comments or concerns or anything of the like? Any questions about our events, about how the pitch fair works? Okay, looking like no questions. So thank you all for coming. I
Murray,
think that's about all we had planned.
You should give people time to ask their questions. They might be typing in chat.
It's true. It's true. I never consider the chat thing. It's very unnatural to me. Thanks, Val. And actually, I was just reminded also, we're not done. We have some more stuff to talk about.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what I was doing. Okay, sorry, I'm just a little nervous because I don't normally lecture like this. It's a very unnatural thing.
You're doing a great job.
Twitch chat. Thank you so much. Thanks. Okay, so I'm gonna make a straw poll right now, and this straw poll is going to be what meeting times work for everybody. So does anyone have any suggestions of meeting times that they'd like that work best? If there's sort of a consensus, then.
In the past, we've had at Thursday at 5 p.m.
Yeah.
That could be one option. I think 5 p.m. is usually the time that works best for people.
Yeah.
So just maybe decide which day of the week it is. Somebody
For
asked.
the pitch fair,
I can answer questions while you focus on the poll. For the pitch fair, can we, if we're not experienced with game dev, can we still put together a pitch? Yes. You can pretty much like if you want to do a pitch, you can do a pitch. Like we're not going to stop you. And it's pretty common for first years to pitch to who don't have much experience to pitch. I know Murray did. In fact, when I first joined this club, I joined a first year's pitch who didn't have much experience, and he also didn't really have much information about what he wanted to. Like he didn't really talk about his project. It was mostly like, I want to make all he really said was, I want to make a roguelike, like Binding of Isaac maybe. And he didn't really have much else in terms of ideas. So that was a very collaborative thing. We talked about in the group what we wanted to do, and we decided as a group. He wasn't like our boss. So that's an option too. Like even if you don't have like a super well thought out idea, you can just say like, oh, I think maybe making this kind of game might be good, and then you can form a group and talk with others and decide what you want to do. Do we have to dedicate ourselves entirely to the project? Can we take time off to focus on schoolwork? Yes. It's pretty common around midterm time for a lot of people to stop coming to the club for a few weeks. It's totally cool for you to take a step back from the club. I know it can be frustrating if you're in a team with other people who are taking some time off, but we're all students, so we all know. Well, I don't know if we're all students. I think you can join regardless, but most of us are University of Toronto students, so we understand. Okay, I have class Thursday at 5. 1 hour long meetings usually. I think we will have 1 hour meetings. We have had 2 hour meetings in the past, although in those were in person, so it was easier to have like smaller group discussions. We might want to not do that since we're all in one Zoom call. It's harder. Classwork over club work, yes. Well, hopefully.
Depends on what your priorities are.
Yeah.
I officially will tell you, yes, classwork over coursework, but sometimes classwork is kind of dumb. So in my personal opinion, like, do what makes you happy as long as you're not failing. Marks don't, well, I'm not going to go out of in my opinion, marks don't matter that much. So do what makes you have a sense of accomplishment and meaning.
You can decide how high you want your GPA to be and then focus on that. It might not be super high if you want to focus on other things.
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody else said this time right now works perfect for me. That should be an option in the poll.
Yep. So I've put together about 6 options in the poll, and these options work around my schedule broadly because I really didn't want to have the meetings if I'm not there. So sorry about that little selfish opinion, but there's a lot of different options there for anybody.
Can you select multiple?
Yeah, you can select all of them that work for you.
Okay,
and the execs and I are going to look at this and we are going to figure out what works best for everybody. I'm just going to, okay, there we go. That works. So it's in general chat and Discord. There's the straw poll.
You should post it in the chat.
For a meeting time that works for you.
Post it in Zoom as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. I will. Yep. Okay, here's the straw poll. Vote there for which meeting time works best for you, but select all of them that work. That would be my advice because, you know, it'll give us more information about what works for people. If we were on the mailing list last year, is it the same list? So Nathan, I'm going to counter that question with another question because I don't know. Did you get the email I sent out on Saturday? Because if so, then yes. Sometimes it does, but like we have like a MailChimp, and I sent out an email to like 1,000 people, and I don't think 1,000 people signed up this year. So if you got the email, it's the same. Darren confirms. So if you got the email on Saturday, then emails from this club for years. Well, you got a promo somehow.
All right.
Cool.
I think some
and
people
let me know if it didn't work. We'll figure it out.
I know in the past, it goes into like the promotions tab on Gmail. So check that if it doesn't show up in your regular inbox.
Yeah. I don't know if we can actually fix that either. So I'm sorry about that if it's inconvenient. But just try to keep an eye on it. We'll also be announcing all the events in Discord here. So if you pay attention to Discord as well, then that'll keep you up to date. Or you can add your emails to the mailing list. Okay, yes, I will grab you a mailing list link. Okay. Let's see. And
we're gonna stay at Murray and I are gonna stay here until 6. If you want to keep asking questions, it's kind of the chat's dried up a bit, but if you have any more questions, feel free.
And don't go yet because we've actually got some more stuff to talk about. So the straw poll is up. Yeah. So tomorrow is just one big thing. So tomorrow we've got a really, really special event with a local indie developer. So some of you guys might have heard of this game. It's called A Short Hike. It's really, really cool. Like I was kind of starstruck when this person agreed to come do a Q&A with us tomorrow because I had just played this game and not realized that this person developed that game. But we've got the developer of A Short Hike. His name's Adam Robinson Yu, or Adam Griu on Twitter, Gryu that is. And then he's coming in tomorrow to do a really special Q&A event. That's going to be GDDC Q&A kind of thing. And he's going to be answering some questions about that you guys have put together, some of you, and it's going to be like about the game industry and about Toronto and about game development and like how to get a game published. So his game, A Short Hike, is like currently published on like Epic Games, Steam, the Switch. Like it's crazy, and it's a really cool game. So I'd recommend checking it out if you haven't. But if you have any questions for Adam, he's been doing game development for a while, and he was actually a GDDC member when he was here at U of T. So it's a really cool experience that we get to have him in. So if you have any questions for him, I've got a Google document that I'm linking in the chat, and you can click on that. You can write your question down, just put a little number and then write what you want to say, and we'll have time at the end to go through these questions, and I'll ask him this. It's going to be streamed, the event. So we're going to send out a link to a YouTube stream where I'm going to be on a call with Adam, talking to him and asking him the questions. And yeah, that's going to be that. Yeah, Connor, I checked out YCOM this summer. I saw it on his website. It's a pretty cool game. It's very creative. Yeah, so if you have any questions for Adam, you can do that. He's a local game developer. He came to GDDC a while back. I think he graduated in 2016. So yeah, that's a very cool event. Stay tuned for that. It's tomorrow night, 5 p.m. On Wednesday. And we are going to be posting the link and a whole add everyone and announcements about it then as well. So stay tuned. And that's about, well, one more thing. One small thing. I'm going to do one more straw poll, and this is for the Unity session. So I want to find a time for the Unity session that works for everybody. So we're going to be doing our tutorial. If you plan on coming to the Unity session and you think it would be informational, which I hope you do, because we're going to work really hard on it. But please, if you plan on doing that, come check out this straw poll. We're actually, ignore that. Ignore what I just said. Instead, I think we're just going to do the Unity session for the hour after the meeting next week. I think that makes it easy.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So
next week will be 2 hours.
Yeah, next meeting is going to be 2 hours, but you can peace out after the first hour if you are not interested in learning Unity. But if you are looking for sort of an entry point into game development, a great place to start would be that session, which we will hold next week after the meeting. Cool. Are there any other questions about sending an email about the results of the poll? Yep. So I'm going to send an email out after the Q&A tomorrow night or on Thursday, and it's going to be detailing the meeting time. I'll send it well in advance. It'll be up by this weekend, and we'll have that announced.
Murray, do you have a sample pitch for the pitch fair?
Oh, good point. Yeah. So there is a document, which is a
Will my experience
sort of
in Python and Java help me with the game dev? Yeah, I personally have used Java a lot for game dev. I think Murray has used Python a bit. Yep. It's true. There's Pygame. You can use, although you can decide what you want, because if you're making something from scratch with no game engine in Java or Python, there's a lot of low-level programming you have to do. Like you have to do all the programming for rendering to the screen, like handling like collisions, handling user input, all this stuff. So it can be kind of like you have to do like extra programming work. Yes, C# and Java are very similar. So and C# is the programming language that's used by Unity, although you don't really have to program at all if you're using Unity. It depends on what you're trying to do. Anyway, we recommend using a game engine over just programming from scratch, because it's more likely that you'll spend time on actual game design than just low-level engine programming. Although if you want to, you can do that too. It's good programming experience. It's related to it. If you're a computer science student, it's related to what you're doing in class. It helps. It's like a good application of that. It's good practice.
Yeah, so I'm working on an engine right now in C++, and it's like a lot of work if you're doing it for the first time. So I would not recommend doing it right away in terms of like, well, sorry, it depends on what you're doing. Obviously, you're not going to generalize. But if you're looking to make a general engine for your further projects, doing it in Java or Python will be a lot easier. So yeah, if you're doing it in Java or Python, then you're good to go. I'm finding it difficult in C++ because I'm not very familiar with like how to debug or like what the error messages mean because I'm just learning it. But yeah, it's not too bad. You could do it if you're really dedicated. But I would recommend using Unity.
Yeah, so C++ is pretty advanced stuff. It's pretty industry standard if you're like employed as a game programmer, it seems, as far as I can tell. It's also the language that's used by Unreal Engine, I believe.
Yeah, that's true. So it's good to know if you're doing Unreal stuff. But don't be intimidated. The other thing is like if you're using Unity and you think you're going to need to program and you're scared of that, don't be intimidated by it because there's a lot of really, really great tutorials online on how to do certain things in Unity without really knowing how to use C#. So I've never formally learned C# with like a tutorial or anything, but I've been able to go into Unity and like figure out how to animate things and how to, you know, move things, take user input, things like that. There's great tutorials on Unity's website about it, and you'll learn more next week at the session if you choose to attend that. I'll do some programming stuff and explain it. All right, so with that, we're about 5 minutes to 6. So is there anything else we have to mention, do you think? I think we sort of got through it.
You have your pitch. Are you going to show us the example pitch?
Yes. So sorry, the example pitch. I just linked it in the Discord of that same thing. But the example pitch, I'll bring it up in front of me actually because I have it right here. So you can find this in the announcements page on Discord. And this is what's going to tell you what you're going to need to do for your pitch. So can you see my screen here? So this actually says winter. But this should say fall. Cool. And it's not on Thursday, April 2nd. Don't worry about that.
Can you zoom in a bit?
December/November. Yep. Okay. So here is the pitch for document. So it's going to tell you everything you need to know if you want to be a team lead for a project. It also has links to a presentation template that you can use to like structure how you want to pitch your game idea to the rest of the club. And it's also got an example pitch, which is a great sort of idea of the scope. So a lovely Darren made Inkdix, which is a sort of pitch of like this is sort of what you want your pitch to look like, right? So it's got slides about like sort of all the information you might want to tell people that might be interested in working on your project. So it's a great resource for that. And that will all be found on the project pitches Google document, which is currently linked in the announcements chat. Quick question from Nick. Will the club do any career-related stuff about the games industry? So we don't currently have plans because we're sort of taking a focus on for the fall at least, we're taking a focus on the project pitches and on our game jams and GMD. But if that's in demand and people are looking to do that, we can definitely look into having maybe talks from industry professionals.
In the past, we've had people from Ubisoft,
reviews, things like that.
In the past, we've had some industry people like from Ubisoft, I think from CyberConnect too. So we'll see. We'll look into it for this year. We don't have anything to announce right now, but hopefully we should be able to get a few special guests in to tell you about the game, to talk about the games industry.
Yeah.
So you work on one game in the fall and another in the winter if you want. Yes. Some people continue over a single project in both semesters or even like from year to year. You can pretty much work on whatever you want. You don't have to do what we're saying. Even like the pitch fair, the pitches, like the sample pitch that Murray's showing us now, you don't need to like know exactly all the information that is on there, although it's as much as you can, it would be good. Also, there's kind of a focus on like having a minimum viable product for the pitches. Like, this is what I want by the end of the semester, at least. It's good to have goals It's pretty like it happens sometimes where a project doesn't really like know where it's going, and by the end of the semester there isn't really like anything if there's anything playable, it's not really like anything substantial. So it's good to set deadlines and goals for yourself. That's an important part of it.
Yeah, that's we heavily recommend putting your goals for what you want to do.
And starting small scope as well, that's very important.
Yeah.
You don't want to be like implementing
a great example of this scope.
Yeah. You don't want to be implementing like multiple characters and
yeah.
like all these different power-ups before the game's even playable. Well, like if you really want to do that, like you can, but it's probably not going to lead to like a very successful product. Will you guys be team leads this year? I'm not sure. How about you, Murray?
I'm thinking I would like to do something in Unity, but what that's going to look like, I'm not sure yet. So I'm still thinking about it. But I will definitely I'll let you know if I am, because I have some ideas for like where I'd like to go in terms of like making stuff. I have an idea for a game that I've been pondering, and I've just not executed it. So if it's still lingering in 2 weeks' time, then I will sign up and do it.
You'll see when we have the pitch fair. It'll be a surprise whether or not we show up. But hopefully there should be a couple cool pitches to choose from if you're not planning on pitching yourself.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for asking questions. It's great because it gives us an opportunity to talk about stuff we might have missed. I'm very much that way. I'm like, when I get going about something, I skip the small details and focus on like big stuff, and so I often overlook that kind of stuff.
Murray and I are both new to the executive committee. Like we've been regular club members in the past. This is our first year as president, so hopefully we won't screw everything up. We're doing our best. If you have any feedback for us, you can talk to us on the Discord as well.
Yeah, I'm always open for questions, email, just DM or email or whatever, Val and I.
Yeah. Anyways,
cool. So
it's 6 o'clock now, so I guess officially we'll end the meeting. I think we can stick around a bit if there's any more questions. Well, I don't know about Murray, but I can. Anyway, I guess that's all the main information that we'll be giving you for this meeting. Stay tuned for another email shortly to find out when our next meeting is going to be. Thank you all for coming.
Yep. Thanks for coming, guys.